Welcome, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining us today for our Field Ready Friday training. I also have a couple of sales development managers that are also with us today. We have Danielle Byers, who is our ACA manager. So, any ACA questions that you might have, or if you would like to contract for ACA, please reach out to Miss Danielle. We have Julie Zimdars, who is our sales development manager up in the Northeast and West area part of the country, and she is also our life manager. So any life questions you might have, you definitely can reach out to Miss Julie and she can help you with that. Also, I have Brandon Hall, who is our learning and development managers on here with us today. He'll be running our chat box. So any questions or comments that you have during the training, please feel free to put those in that chat box. We'll get to those as soon as we can. At the end of the training, we'll also have a question and answer session as well. So you guys will come off mute and be able to answer questions there if you choose to do so. So we're going to go ahead and get started at this time. So today we're going to focus on something that can dramatically improve both your client's protection and also your income. Cross-selling through proper gap identification. And the key idea here is very simple. Medicare provides a very strong foundation for your beneficiaries, but as you know, it's not going to cover everything. So your role as an advisor is to educate and help your clients identify those gaps and protect against them. So by the end of today's training, you should walk away with a simple way to identify coverage gaps, questions you can ask during every natural ways to introduce ancillary products, and a repeatable process that you can use with every Medicare client. So this is just not about selling insurance or selling more products, but it is about making sure that your clients are truly protected and taken care of holistically. So let's look at why cross-selling matters. First, we're going to look at it from the client perspective. Many Medicare beneficiaries believe that once you get on Medicare, that everything is going to be covered. But you and I know that's absolutely not the case. So there's several areas where Medicare leaves your clients exposed. And it's going to be things like dental. Sometimes there's very little coverage to no coverage for dental. Vision coverage, which usually only covers one annual routine eye exam and maybe cataract surgery. Hearing usually only covers one annual routine hearing exam. And what about those hospital copays, cancer treatment options, recovery care? The hospitalizations and treatments may all be covered. But what about the travel and lodging expenses, maybe for a spouse or someone who's going to be traveling with you? Because as you know, most people don't travel alone, especially during, that time. Ambulance transportation fees, or even mortgage and bills if the spouse cannot work. And what about end of life expenses? I don't know if you guys have checked on that lately, but funeral costs are very expensive. You're looking at an average funeral is going to be about $11,000, and that's just for basic funeral. So their families will be very burdened with the cost of that if they don't have a policy in place. So let's look at it from the agent perspective. Cross-selling provides some big advantages. Higher income to you per household because you've added another product, so that's automatically going to increase your income. Stronger client relationships because your clients are going to have more confidence in you now as an agent because you've helped them to see that need, that they need to have more protection. You're going to have higher retention rates because more products that you have in a home, it makes them much more complicated to leave you as an agent because of those additional products. Then you're going to get more referrals. And like I said, they're going to have a lot of confidence in you because you've helped them see that need of where they need that extra coverage. So agents who consistently cross-sell typically build a stronger and more stable book of business. But the name of the game is residual income. And the key to doing all of this is doing it the right way. One of the biggest barriers agents face when cross-selling is mindset. A lot of agents, and probably you included, you've been worried about bringing up additional products because you feel too pushy. But here's the reality. Cross-selling is not about selling more insurance. It's about completing the protection plan. Think about it this way. If a client has Medicare coverage but no protection for major dental work or hospital copays, they're still going to be at risk. So your job is to help the clients see those risks and decide if they want protection for them. So you're being the help not see and showing them that they can choose to fill those gaps if they want to do so. So here's a helpful way to position that. Miss Jones, before we finish today, I'd like to review a few areas that Medicare doesn't always cover so well, just to make sure nothing important is overlooked. This is going to make your approach feel a little bit more natural, and also it's not going to be as sales focused. So the gap identification framework, you can tell the client, Miss Jones, I want to make this process simple for you. And once you start incorporating this approach into your presentations, it will feel like second nature. In the beginning of adding in cross-selling, we also like to suggest this three-step gap identification framework. Step one would be review what Medicare covers, and you can always make a quick cheat sheet for that if you choose to do so. Step two, ask the discovery questions, and we will be glad to provide those questions for you. Step three, identify the risk and offer the protection. Okay, now let's walk through each step. Step one, review the coverage. First, review what the Medicare plan covers. Now, this should already be a part of your compliance requirement anyway when doing a Medicare presentation. You're required to explain the basics of original Medicare and also review the summary of benefits. So you need to either work in our gap comments as you go through, or at the end of the presentation, you can bring up gaps. This is totally up to you, and as you get more comfortable with the idea of cross-selling, for example, you've just wrapped up the presenting. Miss Jones here, but there's still a few areas Medicare doesn't fully cover, and I want to point those out to you. Now, this is going to set the stage for the gap conversation. So let's look at step two. Discovery questions. These questions are going to help you uncover the risk without sounding like a sales pitch. So some examples include, if you're admitted to the hospital, Miss Jones, would this plan's daily copay be comfortable for you? Miss Jones, do you currently have dental coverage that would help pay for crowns or dentures? Who do you have your cancer coverage with? And if you had a hospital stay, Miss Jones, who would or could help you during the recovery process? Now let's look at identifying the risk. So once the gap is identified, let's summarize it. Based on what you shared with me today, Miss Jones, a hospital stay could create some financial burden for you. Based on what you shared with me, getting dentures is really important for you this year. And based on what you've shared, getting the best cancer treatment, even if you have to go out of state, that's very important to you. So using it this way using these examples is going to naturally lead you into introducing a protection option. And the next step would just be transitioning from identifying the gap to introducing a solution. And you should make this very conversational. Once again, it should not feel like a sales pitch. And here are some simple transition examples for you. For hospital coverage, you could say, Miss Jones, many of my clients had a hospital indemnity plan, so a hospital stay doesn't create unexpected financial stress. For dental coverage, Medicare typically doesn't cover major dental work, Miss Jones, so many of my clients add dental coverage to protect against those larger expenses. For cancer protection, some clients choose a cancer protection plan that provides cash benefits if they ever face something like that. Now, you saw the key phrase here that works very well is many of my clients choose. This is going to keep the conversation very natural and informative. So different Medicare plans are going to create you different cross-sell opportunities. So let's talk about those ancillary products that's going to naturally fit with Medicare Advantage. These clients often have hospital copays with limited dental coverage. So some great ancillary pairings for a Medicare Advantage would be a hospital indemnity, dental coverage, and also cancer protection. But you're going to find that hospital indemnity is often going to be the easiest cross sell when it comes to Medicare Advantage. With Medicare supplements, we know that their medical coverage is very strong, but it still leaves a few areas exposed, like dental, cancer, and also final expense. Dental is often going to be the more natural sell for a Medicare supplement. So let's talk about that just a little bit. We have several hospital indemnity carriers, and GTL is one of those, and also Wellaby. That seems to be two of the top carriers that our agents sell the most, and that's really by preference. We have, of course, maybe one provides household discount, one doesn't. One provides lodging, one doesn't. So it's just going to be what best fits your client. But I would recommend having a couple different hospital indemnities to choose from based on your client's needs. And also, we have several dental options as well, several dental carriers that we have. Our agents seem to choose National Care Dental a lot just because it has a very high out of pocket, and also it covers implants, and it also has day one coverage with it as well. So that seems to be a common carrier that a lot of their agents use. So the key point to all of this is just being consistent. So agents who consistently ask gap questions tend to naturally uncover cross-sell opportunities. So let's look at a few case study examples. Imagine a client who enrolls in a Medicare Advantage plan. Miss Jones chose this plan because it offers a zero premium, and it was one of the only plans that included at least some dental coverage. So this can tell you a few things about Miss Jones. She liked the savings of no premium, but that doesn't necessarily mean she had a lower income. She made sure her plan had at least some dental coverage, so that was important to her as well. So she had a $350 copay per day, and that could be anywhere from 5 to 7 days. And she has limited dental coverage, so that could be preventive only, maybe just covered one cleaning a year and maybe some x-rays. So during the conversation, you could ask, Miss Jones, if you're admitted to the hospital tomorrow, would that daily copay feel comfortable for you? And she says that she would be concerned about that. And if you needed a crown or bridge, Miss Jones, would you be concerned about how to cover that expense? So this is going to open the door for the hospital indemnity and also dental coverage. So now your client has stronger protection and you've increased your revenue per household. This is what the effective gap identification looks like. So let's talk about a few key takeaways for today's training. Every Medicare client has coverage gaps, and your job as the agent is to help them identify and protect those areas. And agents who consistently cross-sell protect clients better, increase their income, build stronger relationships, and also improve your retention. And remember, it's not about selling insurance, but it is about making sure that your clients are truly protected. So that ends the training for today, but we want to open it up and ask a few questions. We want to hear from you guys. So, what's your go-to add-on with Medicare right now? You can Brandon will take you off mute, and you can either answer that or you can just put that in the chat for us. What's your go-to add-on with Medicare right now? I failed to mention, but I did want to bring up on our hospital indemnity carriers with Medico and with GTL, they have a tool on their website and basically called Fill the Gap tool. So you can actually put in the benefits of the Medicare plan and it will tell you exactly the benefits that you need in a hospital indemnity. So that makes it very easy for you as an agent agent to show the client the as well. And both Medicare and GTL has that tool for you to use. Okay, Brandon, let's go to the next question. What pushback do you hear from most of your clients as you introduce and you talk about these indemnity plans or hospital or ancillary products?
Angie, I'll jump in for just 1 second. Guys, if you want to come off of mute and share anything, you need to click on the audio button at the bottom of your dashboard. It should look like a little microphone and it should have a red line through it. That means you're muted. If you click on that, it'll open you up to talk and you can share with us. We'd appreciate any feedback that you guys have on this. We've talked about ancillary products here and filling the gaps that we see in Medicare. So to Angie's point here, what pushback or do you hear from your clients when you position your ancillary products? I'll also say this too, not to take up time here, but we also put in the chat a cross-selling script sheet for you guys. You can download that just by clicking on it. It'll open up on your computer and then you can save it to your computer. This will just has some transitional statements and also has a few overcoming objection statements towards the end of that guide. One thing, I think the biggest one, and guys, feel free to jump in here of the sales development team. One of the biggest pushbacks that we may get is, "I'm okay. I already have. I'm covered." Right?
Yep. This is Alec, by the way. I wanted to chime in on this one because I actually I'm a licensed agent myself, so I've actually tried to sell hospital indemnities before, and I've had moderate success with it. But the most common rejection that I feel like I've run into, and things I'm hearing from my agents, is really, do I need it? I don't really think it's important. What about the cost? I just can't afford that right now. Today's economy is so tight. And all very, very common rejection or objections, excuse me. But um, realistically, it's showing them the pain point, show them where the cost is really going to hurt them more if they don't have it. So that's kind of what I'm experiencing most with my objections is the is really the cost and like my clients thinking they just don't need it.
I want to add to that too. A lot of clients will, when I'm talking to them, when I was in the field, and even agents for that matter, what is the plan then? What is the plan to cover these copays and deductibles? So if you're doing your thorough needs analysis, you're uncovering that need to help transfer that risk. So what is their plan? Have you asked that question?
It kind of puts the onus back on them, right? As far as, okay, if we've presented this option to help take that risk, if they're still pushing back, okay, then what is going to happen if uh, if something should happen?
Exactly. I purchased a hospital indemnity plan for my husband, and the big thing was transferring that risk. Yes, I have the money to pay the copays and deductibles and anything that may come up, but why do I want to do that when I can transfer the risk to an insurance company? So one thing that I learned a long time ago is let the customer tell you what they need. Don't decide that for them.
And we'll go ahead and move to the next question here.
So, what part of adding an ancillary coverage do you want to get better at?
This is a question we can't answer for you guys, so you're going to have to chat it in or come off mute. There's no right or wrong answer here. I was talking with an agent the other day, kind of posed this same question, and the answer I got was, "I don't know anything about them." Well, that's why we're here. We have
Yeah.
sessions that we can walk through where we talk in depth about specific ancillary products. So we can talk specific hospital indemnities. We can talk specific cancers. We have carrier webinars multiple times a month with different carriers that come on and they share their products. So we just had Wellaby on to talk about their hospital indemnity plan. He actually showed the tool Angie was talking about earlier, the Fill the Gaps tool, where he went into a specific zip code. He put in the Medicare Advantage plan that a customer would have. It was a Humana plan. And what that did was showed all of the gaps that a customer would have with that Humana plan, and then what the Wellaby plan would take and transfer the risk to that. It's a really, really great session. That's actually on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search NCC Agent, and you'll find our channel there. Feel free to like us and subscribe. We will have multiple sessions up there throughout the course of the year. We'll be glad to provide anything there.
Hi, this is Lisa. I have a question.
Absolutely.
So I may have missed this because I was a little bit late, but okay, so I'm a new agent, so there's a requirement to have a list of, or one or two products um, that the customer wants to talk about when you get when you sign the initially when you're going to talk to them. So how do you bring in the ancillary products? I thought you can only talk about the product that you agreed to prior to your meeting them face to face.
On your scope of appointment, you will have the option to choose the products that you want to talk about with the client. And so I would suggest choosing every product. So you'll have the opportunity to be able to discuss those ancillary products during the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I will let you know as well, we have a hospital indemnity spreadsheet and also dental vision and hearing spreadsheet that lists all of our hospital indemnity and dental carriers, and it will outline the coverage for each carrier. That makes it, I know I use that daily. And if you'll just get with your sales development manager, they'll be glad to send that to you as well. So it makes it a little bit easier when you're talking to a client that you can see everything and all the benefits there on one spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm brand new getting back into Medicare after a gap and not selling it. So am I understanding right that you can bring up ancillary products during the initial appointment about Medicare, or is that not allowed?
Yes, sir. You can't talk about final expense in a Medicare Advantage appointment, but you can talk about the other ancillary products. You just have to make sure that that's noted on the scope of appointment before you start the presentation.
Okay. I was missing that gap there about that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can cover it in the same appointment as a MA plan.
You can, yes.
If you ever did, Robert, and hey guys, it's Titus. Robert, you remember when you do this, when you guys cover the summary of benefits and you start talking about the copays, typically the largest copay is going to be your inpatient hospitalization. That's been as low, I've seen years as low as like 290, as high as like $400 per day. The average Medicare inpatient hospitalization is around 4 to 5 days. So let's just take 300. Let's just use that as a middle ground and say 300 times five. That's $1,500. So how do you plan on paying it? That's how you kind of crosswalk that. And Brandon, we do have a training on that that's on our YouTube page too. Agent Andrew Price goes into detail how he crosswalks that and cross sell it. If you guys want to take a look at it, I believe it's still up on our YouTube page. Is that right, Brandon?
It is, yes. And in fact, it's about a 20-minute video where he walks through his process of how he handles his Medicare Advantage appointments and transitions into the hospital indemnity. The one thing I'll say too here, guys, is that, if for some reason you don't get the scope of appointment checked in your initial appointment, right, and therefore can't talk about this, these products also make a wonderful opportunity to follow up with your clients about, have they used their plans? Have they used any of their benefits? How is that feeling? Are they comfortable with that? And then you can bring those up on follow-up appointments. It's a wonderful opportunity. And again, if you don't do it in the initial appointment, it gives you a reason to call your customer back. Yeah, feel free to send in any more questions. I wanted to just go ahead and get you guys an opportunity. The QR code on the screen is for our event calendar. If you're registered for this series of Field Ready Fridays, but we also have, like I said earlier, multiple carrier webinars per month. We have our town hall the last Thursday of every month. Feel free to sign up and join us for those sessions. We'd love to have you on that. And then again, if you haven't registered for any of the other Field Ready Fridays, you can sign up there on our event calendar. You can save that as a favorite on your desktop or on your browser. Check back periodically because we are adding more sessions throughout the course of quarter two. We're now in quarter two, so we've got some fun things coming. So I can't give those away quite yet, but feel free to check back on the event calendar periodically to see if there's any new sessions out there.
Well, if no one has any more questions or comments, thanks so much for joining our training today, and we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks. Thanks so much. Have a good day and a great weekend.